This is the perfect RIA, in case you didn't know. Bringing you all the strategies to help your business grow. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Sit back and listen in while you feel the beat, yeah. Another myth bites the dust.
Hello, T-Bear Nation. This is Amber Kuhn from The Perfect REA. Thank you for joining me on today's Follow-Up Friday. On Monday, Matt was joined by Jonathan Reynolds, the CEO of Titus Talent and author of the book, Right Seats, Right People. Jonathan has spent his entire career focused on people strategy. He said with talent acquisition, people are typically focused on how to get someone. But he said you have to know how to keep them as well. He talked about how, as a business owner, you have these plans and goals around what you want to achieve, but think about whether your employees know what that is and what does that look like for them. Part of doing that helps stop others from recruiting people on your team. So how you recruit and retain A players is by showing them what's next and how they fit into your business plan. They want to know if in the future, are they going to be in the same role or are they going to be developed? What's that career trajectory? For Jonathan, he breaks that down by year for 3 years out, and he resets it every year. He said A players won't just stay for money. They're focused on growth. People want to be paid fairly, but they also want to know that their employer is investing in their growth and development. Jonathan said historically, recruiting just involved filling a role, but that's never the point of hiring someone. You hire them so that they can be a part of your organization and stick around and help you achieve your goals. And he pointed out a surprising statistic, which is that the average tenure is 30 months. So he said if you don't want someone just staying for a couple of years, then you need to provide a clear plan and path with your organization for them to stay longer. He said a question to ask your team members is if a recruiter reached out to you, what would make you stop and listen? And what would make you leave? He said sometimes meeting that need is very simple. In his book, Right Seats, Right People, Jonathan talks about the early days when he was doing the really hard work and that success didn't just fall in his lap. He said you need to figure out why you do what you do. What's your motivation and what would make you proud in a certain amount of time? For him, it was all about purpose and wanting to know what he did mattered, and that his people come first, even before his clients. So they're people first and then profits, with the focus being on being able to give back to the people and community. Right now, the goal is to give back $30 million in this decade to transform communities for the greater good. He said they're 3 years in and over 50% there. And one of the ways they do this is by looking at his team members and the things that they're involved in within their community and the things that they care about. This is a great way to support team members, and it helps you strategically grow your business because it speaks to what your team members are passionate about. Jonathan wrote a generosity and giving guide to help companies do this efficiently, effectively, and create a return on investment that's related to the equity they're building in the relationship. He said doing this usually multiplies, and you end up attracting more generous people as well. That drive and purpose motivates what they do and makes an impact. Let's get into action items. You can learn more about Jonathan by visiting jonathanreynolds.com and Titus Talent Strategies by visiting titustalent.com. Also, check out Jonathan's book, Right Seats, Right People, which we have linked in Monday's show notes. On Thursday, Jamie was talking about charging for prospect meetings, which they do at Shalansky & Associates. It's $4.97 for an hour consultation with one of their advisors. And this doesn't provide a full-blown plan, but it's an hour answering their questions and pointing out anything that warrants more attention. Jamie went through the history of Shalansky & Associates and the humble beginnings of her parents, Rosa and Floyd Shalansky, and the struggle and desire to get out of poverty. Floyd started out to get educated on the subject of money and wanting to teach others. In the 80s and 90s, they were doing seminars, and after someone attended, they would fill out an evaluation form and check a box to come in for an initial appointment with a financial advisor. They were constantly tracking everything from who came to the seminar, who checked the box, how many rescheduled their appointment, and how many hired them, and so on. When doing this, Floyd wanted to figure out a way to weed out those who met their 3 Ps, which is personable, productive, and profitable, but who didn't want to hire them. So in order to feel really good about the initial appointment and the value they're delivering during that meeting, they decided to start charging for them. Jamie said that this goes against what many advisors believe. That even though you wouldn't go to another professional and meet with them for an hour and think that you don't have to pay for that time, that there's so much head trash around the value that advisors provide their clients and charging accordingly for that. So with charging for those initial meetings, they decided that if they were getting hired right from the start, then they'd feel a sense of responsibility to go in and deliver massive value. And that aligns with their rule of being profitable. Now, when they first started, they charged a really low fee, but found that it was too low. It could be dismissed. And they tried a few other prices and finally landed at that $497 because of the value they're providing. And if they don't provide that value during the meeting, then they don't charge the fee. During that consultation, they're doing what they call a discovery, and they go through things at a high level. They pull out the questions that the prospect has, and then they flag things that they need to go through. Jamie said the meeting isn't about how brilliant you are as a financial advisor. The meeting is about the prospect and answering their questions and concerns. You want to lead with their questions, and at the end of the meeting, Jamie said they'll always ask what else 3 times, which in the medical world is called the doorknob rule. So when they think of all the questions that they have after the appointment, they give them the steps for how they can get them answered. Now, in their office, they do the no sell sell, which means they don't push a prospect to hire them. By focusing on delivering massive value to the prospect, if they concentrate on that and they do it correctly, the prospect is going to end up asking how they can continue to work with them. Now, they also use the sleep on it rule, which they pulled from Jarvis Financial. Now, with this, they don't get contracts signed the same day. They tell prospects they want them to really think about if they want to proceed, and that the team will follow up with them in a week to see if they want to work with them. Now, at that time, if they do want to proceed, they'll collect the payment, go over the fees, and have the contract sent out for signing. So during that follow-up call is when they're asking the prospect if they found the meeting valuable. If the answer is no, they can reschedule with a different advisor or they'll refund the fee. Now, for that fee, they do disclose this on their ADV, and they have a 1-page contract for that initial consultation fee that the prospect signs ahead of time. That's how they officially get on their calendar. Now, as far as how charging for meetings goes over with the prospects, Jamie said it's great. And usually the only people who say the price is outrageous or they can't believe they charge are other financial advisors, not prospects. Now, Jamie cautioned that where you can run into issues with this in your office, or what Jamie's seen in her office, is when an advisor waives that fee. So they've handed this responsibility over to the relationship manager. And as far as what to charge, start with what your hourly rate is and what you're worth, and make that consistent across the board. Let's get into action items. Figure out what your hourly rate is and what you're willing to charge a prospect for an hour of your time. And make sure that fee is consistent across the board, and develop a prospect process for what you are and aren't giving for that cost. Before we go, TBR Nation, if you're ready to grow and dramatically impact your life and those around you, and you want resources to help, reach out to us at lifestyle@theperfectRA.com, or you can visit theperfectRA.com/grow. That wraps up this week's recap. Thank you for joining me, and please share this or any of our episodes with another advisor or a team member who you think might benefit from listening. And be sure to subscribe to the Perfect RA podcast so you don't miss an episode. Until next time, happy planning.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The Perfect RIA.